Sorry, miss. That spot's not for someone like you. Her fingers shook slightly as she held out her ticket, the seat number printed clearly. But the man, older, white, in a crisp linen shirt, didn't even glance at it. He leaned back in the wide leather seat, raised his champagne glass, and gave her a smug little wave like she didn't exist. Nobody came to her defense. Not the steward walking by, not the woman nearby who looked away, pretending to scroll her phone. Just murmurs and stolen glances. In that heavy, airless moment, surrounded by silence and sidelong looks, Jordan Monroe understood something ugly. This wasn't about a seat. It was about status. Let me tell you what happened when a black entrepreneur, someone who built her empire from scratch, got publicly disrespected mid-flight, and how the situation flipped fast. By the way, where are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments. Let's see how far truth travels. Jordan Monroe wasn't just another passenger in first class. She was the founder of Neon Frame, a global logistics tech firm that powered everything from international freight to last-mile delivery for major corporations. She wasn't flying for leisure. This was a business trip to close a game-changing partnership deal. She wore a tailored forest green suit, her natural hair coiled neatly at the back. Her calm confidence was the kind you earn, not fake. In her world, she had kicked down doors most people still knock on. As she walked through the terminal, she noticed the usual signs. Eyes that lingered a little too long, a TSA agent who triple-checked her ID without a word. She was used to it, but it still chipped away at you. The chill hit her the moment she stepped onto the plane. Something was off. By the time she reached seat 3A, the problem had a face. A graying man already occupied it, lounging like royalty. Jordan paused. "Excuse me, I think this is my seat," she said, showing her ticket politely. He glanced at it, then at her, and smirked. "You must be confused," he said with a fake laugh. Then he turned to the flight crew member nearby. "She's clearly not supposed to be here. Maybe coach got too full." Jordan didn't budge. Her voice stayed cool even. "This is my seat. I double-checked." The flight attendant didn't say much. Instead, she asked Jordan to wait while they verified the booking. 10 minutes dragged by. Some passengers peeked over their screens. No one said a word. Eventually, another crew member approached. "We're going to ask you to step off the aircraft while we sort this out." Jordan blinked. "You're removing me?" The answer came not with logic, but with force. Two uniformed officers arrived quietly and asked her to come with them to avoid disruption. Still, Jordan didn't raise her voice. She simply pulled out her phone and showed them the full confirmation. Her name, her seat, her payment history. None of it mattered. One officer gently reached for her arm, and that's when everything changed. A voice crackled over the intercom. "The captain, ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We're experiencing a delay." The cockpit door opened, and the pilot himself walked down the aisle. He looked from Jordan to the flight crew, then at the man in 3A. "What seems to be the issue?" Jordan spoke calmly. "I was told to leave, that I don't belong here, but this is my seat." The pilot checked her ticket, then looked at the man still sipping his drink. "Sir," he said, "you need to leave the aircraft. Now." The man blanched. I don't understand." "You heard me." This time, security didn't hesitate. But they didn't take Jordan. They took him. Gasps filled the cabin. Phones started recording. The man protested the whole way out. Once the aisle was clear, the pilot turned to Jordan. "Apologies, Ms. Monroe. Please, take your seat." Jordan sat down quietly. Not victorious, just weary. These battles were constant. And most days, it didn't end with justice. After the flight, the airline issued a public apology. They even offered to name a mentorship fund after her. Jordan declined. "I don't need a scholarship with my name on it," she said later at her business conference. "I need fewer people who think I don't belong where I've earned the right to be." The clip from that flight went viral. Not because Jordan was rich or famous, but because her story hit home for so many others who weren't believed, helped, or seen. Awareness isn't just about words. It's about truth in motion. What happened to Jordan Monroe wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a mirror, a sharp, unforgiving reflection of how power, privilege, and perception still collide at 30,000 feet and everywhere else. The seat incident wasn't about class. It wasn't about a booking glitch or a customer service hiccup. It was about who we're trained to believe belongs, who we expect to see in a position of comfort, control, or success, and who we assume must have gotten there by mistake. Let's not pretend this was an isolated event. Jordan's story made headlines, but thousands like it never even make it past security. No camera rolling, no pilot stepping out, no reversal, just silence and shame and someone quietly walking away from what they rightfully earned. The truth is, our world is still wired with assumptions. That a black woman in a tailored suit must be lost. That confidence must come with a certain accent, a certain face, a certain pedigree. That first class isn't for people like her. But here's the thing, Jordan didn't back down. She didn't yell or beg or plead. She stood her ground with calm certainty, the kind that comes from knowing exactly who you are. That is what shook the room. That is what made people uncomfortable. Not the conflict, her composure. She didn't fight with noise. She fought with truth. And when the pilot finally intervened, it wasn't just about setting things right. It was about the system finally stopping to ask why it keeps getting it so wrong. What followed was important: a public apology, a scholarship offer, a viral video. But that's not the real victory. The real victory was the shift it sparked, the questions it forced, the discomfort it stirred in people who had never before noticed how easy it was to ignore injustice when it didn't wear their skin. Because let's be honest, how many other passengers would have been removed without resistance, without evidence, without anyone batting an eye? How many Jordans sat quietly while someone else reclined in their space? Too many. And that's why this story matters. Because it forces us to rethink who gets the benefit of the doubt, who we rush to believe, who we instinctively protect, and who we ask to step aside. Jordan Monroe's flight eventually took off. She made it to her meeting, delivered her presentation, and sealed the deal. But she also took something bigger with her, a reminder that dignity doesn't come from seats, titles, or awards. It comes from refusing to let someone else define your worth. And in a world that still tells too many people to wait at the gate, her story is a call to action. If you saw yourself in Jordan, let this remind you, you're not alone and you're not invisible. If you didn't, ask yourself why. Then listen harder next time. Change doesn't start with policies. It starts with people seeing what they used to overlook. Speaking up when staying silent is easier. Standing with someone when the world tries to shrink them down. We all board the same planes. But until we stop deciding who deserves to fly based on how they look, how they speak, or where they're from, we haven't taken off at all. So the next time you hear a story like this, don't just scroll past it. Don't just say, "That's awful." Ask yourself, what would I have done in that cabin? Would I have looked away or stood up? Because real change doesn't sit quietly. It takes its seat and refuses to give it up.